Well, it's official then. We are into double digits. The CUPRA SimRacing Series takes us to the land of the rising sun. In the city of Suzuka in the south of Japan, 100 kilometers away from the city of Osaka on the other side of the Kansai region, the legendary 5.8 kilometer ribbon of racetrack known as the Suzuka International Racing Course hosts round 10 of the season. And with just 4 rounds to go, David Noj is tightening his grip on proceedings at the top of the championship and looking for his first title in RaceRoom competition. A tricky circuit to overtake, a format forcing consistency, patience, and above all else, timing, and strategic masterclass. Very little short of perfection will be acceptable today if you're pushing for victory. As is common in the CUPRA SimRacing Series, it is myself, Lewis McGlade, and alongside me is Robert Wiesenmüller.
Hello everyone, hello Lou. Yes indeed, Suzuka round 10 of the season, and this time we've got 25 drivers on the grid.
Yeah, Jaroslav Honzik making a return to the CUPRA SimRacing Series. A couple of debutants in there. Number 23, Sven Mackenberg, and Max Pfeiffer as well, the number 9, along with our whole host of CUPRA SimRacing Series drivers who have been with us since the start of the championship, what is now quite a long time ago.
Also, notable absence of a couple of drivers. We know about Antonov, but there's another one who is missing, and I think, Lewis, in our highlight video from the last race of Dubai, you've got the explanation what happened.
Welcome to highlights from the 9th round of the CUPRA SimRacing Series from Dubai. The first race in the sprint format saw Juan Manuel Gomez on pole position ahead of championship-leading David Noj. On the run-in towards turn 1, he'd be attacked by Noj on the inside. Was unable to make it stick though was Noj, and it would be Juan Manuel Gomez leading. Noj would take second. Bence Banki was sent off at turn 1, and a little bit later on things would get even worse. Attila Dina and then Tim Yarshall would just clip him ever so slightly and send him off and to the back. Multiple race winner this season, Moritz Lerner, who's second in the championship, qualified only in 19th place. It would take him 1 lap with some pretty aggressive moves to work his way up the order and would be inside the top 10 at the end of that first lap. Wouldn't be long into the race until David Noj would fire one down the inside of Gomez. The Argentinian driver, though, with a beautiful cutback, would stay out front. Florian Haase would get by Adam Pinches and then very quickly by Bent Zupanek as well. Adam Pinches wouldn't be too happy, and on the run down towards turn 1, he'd get by Zupanek, make a little bit of contact with Florian Haase, but Haase would stay in front after the first sector. Then racing got really crazy into the hairpin. Contact between Haase and Adam Pinches, then with Bent Zupanek as well. Zupanek trying to go all the way around the outside, does so on the Hungarian, and Tim Yarshall was becoming part of the mix. Into the next corner there'd be further contact. Zupanek and Yarshall would be the 2 ahead. Florian Haase would drop back 3 positions in a couple of corners. Zupanek would just about hang on with Yarshall behind, but as they continued, Yarshall would get the move done through turn 1. Things wouldn't be getting much better for Moritz Lerner. He's picked up a track cut. Martin Barner would make the move, and as he was lifting off, gets ever so slightly clipped by Emre Cihan. Takes the slowdown penalty here, drops all of the positions that he'd gained over the first few laps and down to 19th place. The battle for the race win was absolutely on as Noj dives down the inside of Gomez. Then, later on, left the door open for Gomez, who fired it straight back through. Unfortunately, things wouldn't be for Gomez. The final lap of the race, David Noj goes down the inside of the first corner, makes a move stick. Gomez did everything that he possibly could, but yet another race victory goes the way of the Hungarian championship leader. There would be a second race though, and a smaller qualifying session which saw Noj on pole position ahead of Gianmarco Fiducci, who had an excellent qualifying session, onto the front row of the grid. An easy launch from all of them. On the run down towards turn 1, things were a little bit cleaner, a little bit calmer for the likes of Bence Banki. Tim Yarshall getting very much in the mix there. Moritz Lerner had qualified better this time, but still not particularly great. He was languishing down in the mid-pack, battling with Emre Cihan for about 9th place, and there'd be a bit of contact between himself and Pavel Makonnen, and then even further contact between himself and Martin Barner, who was making a move on Emre Cihan. The first of the top lot to get a slowdown penalty. Bence Banki goes towards the back of the line, would not be the last to get one in this group. David Noj leading the way, Gianmarco Fiducci and Juan Manuel Gomez directly behind. Noj a little bit easy on the brakes, opened the door for Gianmarco Fiducci, but then there was contact behind with Gomez, who pushed into the back of Noj, and Tim Yarshall comes out of absolutely nowhere to scoop up into second place, would go for the race lead, would make contact with David Noj in doing so, would pick up a strike in doing so, and with that, he would pick up his 6th strike of the season and would be getting a 1-race ban for his troubles. Through that, David Noj got a slowdown penalty, and he would then drop to the back of the line, and through that would cost Gomez on Bence Banky, who would scoop up a podium position, at least at the early stages of this race. That's where David Noj drops back to behind Adam Pinches for 6th place. Whilst Gianmarco Fiducci was trying to make a bold move around the outside of Tim Yarshall, Bence Banky sniffed out his opportunity and took 2nd from the Italian. Then the Italian would just overdo the track limits. He would pick up a slowdown penalty and he would cost himself a chance at the podium. He would then drop down to 6th place. Gomez would move his way up onto the podium once again. Sad scenes for Gianmarco Fiducci. The battle for the race lead would continue though, as Tim Yarshall would overcook the double left-hander, opening the door for Bence Banky to sweep on through. He'd just about take the lead, but with the inside to the next corner, it was always going to go the way of the young German Tim Yarshall. Whilst defending for the podium though, Gomez would just overdo the hairpin. He'd clip the back ever so slightly of Bence Banky. It would open the door for Adam Pinches to sneak a cheeky podium. Bence Banky's chances for a race win were gone in that one moment, and Tim Yarshall would take victory here in Dubai.
Thanks a lot for this, Lewis. Now we're here in the last seconds of the practice session watching David Noj, driver who is leading in the championship, bring up the championship standings as well. It's a huge lead for the Hungarian driver from Mira Esports.
Yeah, this includes the 2 drop scores, so he is doing mighty fine in this championship, leading by over 200 points over Moritz Lerner. We were having a little discussion prior to this for Moritz Lerner. Is it now when the focus for him looks backwards towards the likes of Bence Banky and even his teammate, perhaps Jack Keithley, in that run for 2nd of the championship?
Yeah, very likely it is, because the 2 drop scores that are already counted into the standings here from Moritz Lerner are the 2 last races he did. So his current form certainly not as strong as his early season form. Bence Banky last race he had 1 off, of course, in the first race, but then in the second race he was really strong.
Yeah, you alluded to earlier, there's a couple of drivers we're missing. We're missing Kirill Antonov. We're missing Tim Yarshall, who, as was said in the broadcast, courtesy of a couple of issues, a couple of penalty points that round, he ends up, basically, he can't take part in this. He's been banned for a race, which is, unfortunately for him, an endurance race. So he misses out on quite a lot of points. Also, though, hasn't rejoined the server, P8 in the championship, I believe he was, maybe P9. Emery Chihan not in the server. We did see him earlier, but the 25th car is not among us here at Suzuka.
Yeah, and that's a big disappointment for Emery, who's also still in a good position in the championship. And that probably means his drop score will come into play. Let's talk about the drop scores for a moment. Chihan not on the list, because I only got the top 7. Chihan is 8th in the standings. But here you can see David Noj dropping 376 points at the moment. Even if he has a bad round, it doesn't really matter, because he will still gain a lot of points that come back in from his current drop scores.
Yeah, considering it's 100 points for a race victory, normally 200 on the sprint round. There are some points for qualifying, of course, up for grabs, and then stuff from the pre-quali as well. For 2 rounds to be included, for 376 points to be his drop score, and with only 4 rounds to go, that is testament to how impressive his season has been. Jaroslav Honzik then returning to the championship in our guest car. You can't miss it. Beautiful colours. Certainly looks good throwing it around, and we've been pretty close to with Jaroslav, chatting with him over the last couple of years. Very nice driver, of course, YouTuber as well, YouTuber extraordinaire. What a great guy! What a great character to have back on the grid.
Yes, and of course you can watch the live stream also on his YouTube channel. But we would also appreciate it if you leave a like, maybe a comment, or subscribe on our channel. As we head into the qualifying session, Jaroslav Honzik was also one of our camera cars. Here you can see him. Pretty focused. Normally you see him talk a bit more during his races, but he is taking it seriously.
Yeah, with such a tight grid as well, he's got to get the most out of the car. And that requires an awful lot of focus. He still seems to be enjoying himself nonetheless. There you go. He's having a great time. He's kind of mucked up the slipstream a bit though, as he is quite far off the back of the next car. And slipstream is going to be absolutely crucial around here. We saw in practice the Mirror Esports drivers, basically all four of them, Naj, Zupanek, Baldi and Zoltan Suti, all of them working together. A bit of oversteer there through T1.
A big slide from Jaroslav.
I remember back in Spa last season how quick Jaroslav Honzik was around there. Of course, a long circuit. He does seem to be a bit better at the longer circuits.
Yes, I think he also does better at the circuits with the fast corners. It's quite interesting that different drivers have different types of circuits that suit them. Alexander Dorn, even the champion from last season, he's another one who's very good at Spa, also good at Suzuka, but on a very tight circuit, he can't really use his full potential. And Jack Keighley is kind of the opposite. This Honzik almost heats himself in the air there over the curb in the first of the Deckners. Has to be careful here on the exit of Deckner 2 because of the track limits.
And then so careful on the brakes into the hairpin. It's so easy to lock up and overdo the corner. It's not a great place. It looks on paper a great place to do an overtake into the hairpin, but not really. And then we're flat from this all the way to spoon curve, which for those of you who haven't done spoon in a front wheel drive car is very tricky indeed. It's slightly off cambered on the first apex and it just gets it a little bit slippery on the rear. Watch out for the curb on the outside. Find that second bit somewhere in there and wait until the right time to gun it. And then we come up to what in an F1 car and that kind of such isn't really much of an issue. But 130R in a front wheel drive touring car, pretty tricky.
Yes, you've got a downshift here normally. Sounds actually like Honzik is staying in fifth on the run up to the corner. Interesting.
Really overdid it. Heavy on the brakes. Up and over the curbs. And towards the line. First times then, what are we going to see on the board in the early stages of this qualifying session? No 1 second time just yet. A 2:10.1 from Moritz Lerner. My goodness, that is a quick time. We were talking about a 10.0 being mighty fast. A 10.123 from the man who could not qualify to save his life back in Dubai. Slams it onto a provisional pole position. That's an amazing lap time.
That's a crazy lap time indeed, and I would show you Moritz's face here, but this time he doesn't have his camera active. I think he's out here for revenge after two not so good showings in the last rounds.
He really struggled. To be fair, mostly, as he's diving around his teammate and various other bits of traffic, he struggled really for one, getting the laps on the board, then struggled to keep it within track limits. Just struggled for a few reasons, to be honest, with Moritz Lerner, and we're desperate to see him do well. It must be said, though, we come to the endurance format, and what must always be said in the endurance format is Williams Esports. Now, obviously, they didn't win the last one. This is the 5th of the endurance format that we've done this season. Of that, Adam Pinches has won one. And then the other 3 have gone to Williams Esports. 1 to Jack Keighley, and then 2 to Moritz Lerner. If there is a day that Moritz Lerner can be victorious, it is a day like this, because when it comes to consistency, when it comes to strategy, he is on top form, you know, or there or thereabouts. He's very calculated.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm happy
got
to
a
see
mandatory
him
pit stop coming up in the race as well. This extra little strategic element that the Williams driver seems to excel at. Even though in qualifying you can see again Mirror Esports, Baldi, Suti, then Honzik in between. Not a nice, comfortable spot there. And then
I
the
think
next
they're
one
on
is
their
Zupanek.
outlap though, aren't they? Is Honzik's not on a lap at the moment. He's just trying to fight his way for track position past. Jaroslav, buddy, I just dropped to the back of this line. Well, if there is some people you want to be out there on track with in Quali, it's the Mirror Esports bunch. Don't want to be ahead of them. Here comes Bence Zupanek to go around the outside and slot his way ahead of Zoltan Suti. Now Jaroslav Honzik backs out. In the background, who have we got there? I think it's Martin Barner and Juan Manuel Gomez just behind this. So the second lap's to begin with such a long circuit, 2 minutes 10 seconds and only a 15-minute quali session. You really don't get very long to get those laps on the board, and normally we've seen Moritz Lerner struggle with that kind of stuff, for him to stick a 10-1 on the board straight away. I'm sure he'll be breathing a sigh of relief and then can actually push on the next couple of laps because he's got the confidence in the car.
Yes, it's perfect to set a banker lap that quick. We spoke to Ben Spunky before the race. He's up into third position now. And he said, you know, point 1 could be pole. Maybe point 0 if someone gets a perfect lap. Suzuka here, pretty much the wingman of Superneck and also of David Notch in his championship. But right now Superneck needs to help a little bit more because Notch has got such a comfortable lead in the championship standings.
Yeah, he's going to start working for the team. Obviously, he's out there for himself. He's out there to win a championship, but considering how much the team's helped him and how closely that team works together, you'd be surprised if he didn't do a little bit of work to try and help the team. Currently in 10th place, Max Pfeiffer, debut in the CUPRA SimRacing Series.
Server
server 1.
And it's interesting because I checked through the results of him in this championship, and he drove most of the races in server 2, but also some of them in server 3 or 4 as he goes back to the pit lane here. Together with his teammate Attila Dina. And he's not so good in pre-qualifying really, but he's very good in the races. Lots of victories already in the lower servers, so might watch out.
Yeah, see how he plays with the big boys. It takes a lot of bravery to go toe-to-toe with some of this lot. Currently 19 drivers, separated by roughly a second, slightly over for Jaroslav Honzik down in 19th place, which around the circuit so long is very impressive. We've got Martin Barner leading Adam Pinches, so slipstream was Pinches, not Gomez. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes, the black and black, but the AAA Esports driver getting a nice little bit of slipstream on the run to 130R. Big commitment through it. Barner pulls off, so Barner helping out his fellow Hungarian.
Yes.
They're not teammates.
They're not really teammates, but I think AAA and virtual drivers, they are, you know, they're very close to each other. Perhaps like Williams Gym and the Williams team, like a junior team. Pinches and Barner, always a strong team. We've seen it at Shanghai. See where Pinches ends up.
Yeah, Zoltan Suti just got himself up into 6th place, immediately demoted to 7th as Pinches fires in to 4th place. Nice lap time by him, 2:10.316. Quentin Pointeau, 22nd place for him at the moment. Looking like we've got some decent sectors though. Bent Banky goes onto the front row just behind Moritz Lerner, 200ths of a second. Things very tight. His session's not done though. Plenty of time on the board for him to go out and get another one. Quentin Pointeau, as he crosses the line, he goes to 19th and 19th only, so 22nd up a few places. It's busy here, isn't it? Gianmarco Fiducci, who was cruelly, I think, we were all heartbroken when we saw the clip of him in the car, how much it meant to him to try and get a podium. Didn't get that podium. A slight mistake from him was what dropped him out of contention for that podium. It was a track excursion in the first sector back in Dubai. Was so very, very close, and he looked so dejected after it. So the hope is that he brushes that off, comes here, hopefully picks himself a good bit of slipstream through this qualifying session and moves his way up the order.
Florian Hasse ahead of him.
Moritz Lerner diving through on the inside. Jack Keithley. Oh, that's not Jack Keithley.
Should be Leandro Berle.
Yeah.
Not sure what they're doing there. I think they're all trying to get a good track position for their last attempt.
Yeah, once that time hits 0, we're all said and done. All 24 cars have got a time on the board, separated by 1.2 seconds. Here's Jack Keithley out by himself. The lone man, no slipstream, no help for him. See, we didn't catch Moritz Lerner's lap, and we didn't see how much slipstream he got, but you'd assume with a time that impressive, maybe there was a bit of help. But Jack Keithley, nonetheless, is putting in some impressive times. A good first sector, a good second sector. This could be good enough to stick in 3rd if he nails the final sector. Very much over the first curb in the Casio triangle. Absolutely slams the throttle as we come down the hill. Watch him hold it right, hold it very, very tight towards the wall. What is the time going to be? Is it good enough to move him up the order? The line's a little bit later than you'd expect normally at Suzuka. Over it goes, only 5th still. No improvement on position. And that's his session basically done, unless he keeps on it this lap. But with the tyres, not so sure about that one.
I think the first lap is most of the times the fastest lap here. Gomez without a slipstream, only in P11. That would be disappointing for him.
So impressive pace-wise last time out, wasn't he, Rob? A denied victory in that first race, but showed some incredible pace and guts and bravery to go toe-to-toe, and with some of the moves that he did on David Nodge as well. Very impressive. Outside of the top 10 will be a little bit disheartening, and no improvement in the second sector. You'd see it hard pressed to move inside the top 10 from that position as he overdoes 130 up. I think Jaroslav Honzik might as well be a little bit disappointed at being outside of, outside of the top 22. We'll go with that. We'll be nice to him.
Yeah, he will be thinking, what the hell have I signed up for? 23rd is not where he usually sees himself on the grid.
No, he's normally a very mightily paced driver, and in the final moments of the session, you can see him talking to his Twitch stream, and all of his buddies out there watching along and supporting Jardier.
Not an improvement in the second sector, though.
No, I don't think this is going to be him moving up the order. He is a bit of a racer, though. He's a bit more of a racer than he is a qualifier, at least from what we've seen in the CUPRA SimRacing Series last season.
What we can also say is that he's also doing a 12-hour race on another game at the same time. It's just not his stint at the moment. Oh, he moves up a position.
Ahead of Attiladina, who has been pretty quick this season.
Yeah, who's also way out of position. Let's see Baldi. Can Baldi here? Baldi's heading the queue, the Mirror cars. Can he go?
Well, I don't think he can. He's a little bit down in the first sector, or quite a bit down in the second, but he'll still push it towards the line and drag his teammates with him. Where are we going to see the Mirror Esports bunch go? Gogo Barry, the first one to cross the line. Any improvement from him? It is pole position ahead of Moritz Lerner. Wow, what a final sector. I shouldn't have took that one down.
Stunning job. And Bunky, maybe the last one who can beat him. And Bunky was up after the second sector, but he's into the pit lane.
Pit lane. Didn't fancy it. Wow, what a final sector from Gergo Bowley there to deny Moritz Lerner. Bence Banky, Florian Harter in fourth place. Nice work from him. Another couple towards the line. We've got Corentin Pointeau and is that Ottaviani ahead of him. The last couple to really cross the line in this session. Ottaviani is going to stay in last place, I think. Corentin Pointeau goes to 17th. So Gergo Bowley then and Moritz Lerner on the front row. The race will be up in just a moment. The Suzuka International Racing Course it is then, and a 60-minute race ahead of us. One pit stop required, and what a thrilling way to end that qualifying session. Gergo Bowley snatching with a beautiful final sector, grabs pole position ahead of Moritz Lerner. This is going to be a very, very feisty race. You can see there, he's taken a little bit of a breather prior to the start of the race. That is Gergo Bowley on the right-hand side of your screen, chatting to his teammate. He's got a headset on this round, so good on him. It's not speakers as it was a few rounds ago. And we are ready to go racing. Moritz Lerner will be alongside him, looking for a victory, a fourth one of the season for the Williams Esports bunch in the endurance format. We are underway then at Suzuka. It's a fairly decent launch from everyone towards the front, and Gergo Bowley's not covered that one off very well, and Moritz Lerner is going to come straight through to the lead, opening the door, maybe Bence Banky as well. Not quite enough. Gergo Bowley did not pinch that one down far enough indeed. Bence Banky as well going to get through into second place. Gergo Bowley first to third, Adam Pinches to fourth place. Florian Haas's dropped back to sixth and all of that, and Jack Keatley's made a touch of progress as we head through the Essence for the first time. Everyone diving into a single file format. I think there might be a little bit of too wide further back in the pack for that 15th place, but nevertheless, Moritz Lerner, Rob, the lead straight away.
Lerner and Banky certainly know how to keep it interesting here in the championship. What a start from the two of them. Getting ahead of Gergo Bowley, who will be angry with that. Oof. A lot of curb taken there by Lerner as well. In the early lead, but you can see the timer. 1 hour race.
Yeah, once we've passed the middle, basically the middle part of the race, is where you can do the pit sequence, as the door's been opened for Jack Keithley to fire one down the inside of Adam Pinches, ex-teammates, Williams eSports of Jack Keithley, of course. I've said it so many times this broadcast, or this season rather, I'm sure you're getting bored of me bringing it up, but Adam Pinches, ex-Williams Jim eSports driver, so effectively all part of the same stable a few months ago. Adam Pinches, the offer to AAA eSports. Oh, is that running wide from Moritz Lerner? Was that? Oh, I think he did run wide in the entrance to Spoon in the foreground. Managed to gather it up and pick up a decent exit. But Jack Keithley really did fire it down the inside of that hairpin there.
Yeah, aggressive move against Pinches. So far up into 4th position. That's the Jack Keithley that we know. Let's check with Moritz Lerner.
Saw him snake out, just basically trying to break the slipstream, as everyone's well wide through 130R. Of course, with the slipstream, they're going a fair amount quicker once they hit the apex, and there'll be a little bit of it. Really, it's fairly negligible. Touring cars, as much as they've got a decent amount of air on them, it's not really enough to make that big a difference. But the big slipstream party on the run to T1 is what we're focused on. It is massively downhill. It's a lot steeper downhill than people think it is. And then the turn 1, you can make a move inside, outside, cutback, whatever you want. If you want to make a move, turn 1 is your opportunity. Not quite there for Monkey.
I also see the runoff area has slightly changed, as well as the curbs here on the track. Part of a great RaceRoom rework in the recent months. So if you go off in the first corner, you might save it. But to be honest, most of the time when someone's going off there, they still
Jaroslav Honzik, by the way, he found up to 20th place already, so he's made a decent start to the race. We did see him in 22nd, and now up to 20th. He's got Attila Dina, who's, as you said, out of position, I think is a fair way. Shanto has been escorted off at some point or made a mistake of his own volition, and is down in 24th and last, 5 seconds off the back of Quantum Quanto, so not a great opener for the Hungarian here at Suzuka. You can see Attila Dina there, one of our camera cars. So we've got a couple of camera cars a bit further down the order than we'd have expected. Back up the order, Florian Haase, Adam Pinches under attack now from the Euronics Gaming driver, and into Spoon. We've seen a couple of moves into here before. It takes a bit of bravery, and I kind of don't see Florian Haase being the aggressor in that scenario. Well overcooks the corner and doing so. If it was his teammate, Tim Yarshaw, I'd expect that move. But Florian Haase is normally a very, very calculated driver, so I didn't really fancy it there. He's got the championship leader behind him as well, Rob.
Yes, David Notch a little bit further down the order than usual. On the back of Florian, so you can see it. Ooh, Juhasz going wide there. I think Lucas Werle was also a bit wide.
To be fair, all of the Merit eSports drivers are lower than we'd expect, with the exception of maybe Gogo Baudi, as Juan Manuel Gomez gets passed by Sinan Gunay for 14th place, and Gianmarco Verducci, like we said, the driver that was in contention for a podium, or maybe even a potential victory in the last race. Qualified on the front row was Jack Keithley's potential podium chance. No, it wasn't quite. I did think Martin Barner under attack from Zoltan Suti and Ben Zupanek, two teammates from Merit eSports. Like I said, they are further down the order than we'd expect. 9th and 10th for those two of the Merit eSports. David Noj, the other one, in 7th, and then Gogo Baudi in 3rd. It's not the race that we were expecting from the Hungarian outfit, and Martin Barner's a bit of a cork in the bottle for this lot, as Christian Juhasz and Werle as well are all part of that. That's Leandro Werle as well, who's up a bit higher than Lucas Werle in this.
Sitting in 12th position.
Doing very well.
And of the fastest debutant, Max Pfeiffer, but Sven Wackenberg, the other debutant, also in P17, not too bad.
Nearly a part of this train, and we've said with Pfeiffer, keep an eye on him, because his pedigree for racecraft is what's pushed him forward in Server 2. And now we see him making that debut in Server 1. We'll see if he can move his way up the order from where he currently is. Corentin Ponto 23rd, the last on the train, but everyone's still very much as the door's been opened there for Attila Dina on Jaroslav Honzik on the back of Lucas Werle, who's not having a particularly great race, running through the very fast right-hand. That's always really going to send the advantage the way of Jaroslav Honzik. Wasn't quite close enough to make a move on the Brazilian though.
But Ottaviani's making a move.
Nice one from Ottaviani between the two parts of Spoon. That was a lovely move. Very aggressive.
And could get aggressive at the front too, because Ben's Bunky is closer than ever before. Like he was sending it on the inside, but not quite yet.
If there's a day when I'd want a Moritz Lerner camera car, it would be today. I guarantee you he's barely even breaking a sweat. We've seen with Moritz Lerner, as much as he may show a little bit of like frustration in the car, when he's if you actually look at him when he's driving, there's barely a fracture of any description in his personality when driving. All going for the undercut there. Zoltan Suti goes down the inside of Martin Barner. There's contact, big contact on the second exit. I think this is going to go the way of Zoltan Suti. Certainly does. That was a fair thwack there on the apex of the second part.
Yeah, it looked like Barner was still sliding at this point. He entered a bit too fast. He was still sliding in, and Suti sent it up the inside. And when Barner was kind of sliding back a bit, Suti didn't back out.
Now Zoltan Suti's got a bit of an effort to go and catch his teammate. 2 seconds down the road is David Nosh in the back of Florian Haase. It's going to take a large effort to close in on that, but you'd assume the top 7 probably aren't at the moment, maybe on the limit of the car. Conserving things, maybe being a bit more patient. Maybe a little bit different at the top end. I'd be surprised if at the moment David Nosh is right on the limit of that vehicle. Martin Barner then, Ben Supernek, the next one trying to get through. And on the back of him, Christian Newharsh's contact as they all go nose to tail. No change of position though. Bit of a flashing of lights there from Ben Supernek. Maybe feeling that he was getting a bit held up there on the apex of the hairpin, or maybe just trying to distract Martin Barner, who we've seen a good few efforts from over the course of the 2020 season. And now with Ben Supernek behind, he's got to do some fairly decent driving. 7/10 is what Zoltan Suti's been able to clear out in the half a lap he's been ahead. And thus far it's looking pretty good. Right, battle then for the race lead. Oh, is Ben Spanky being forced into this? He is down the inside. There is going to be contact. There's right over the curb from Ben Spanky. He was almost forced into that by Gogo Bowdy being right on his rear end. But now going for the cutback down the hill, holding it as tight right as possible. Ben Spanky, Red Bull Racing Esports, not able to get alongside. That is the look back from Moritz Lerner. You can see how close Ben Spanky is as well. And believe me, Gogo Bowdy is right there as well. Is there going to be huge commitment on the brakes? No, not really. Gogo Bowdy's not able to take advantage of that either. Lining it up down turn 2. Oh, this is it. The change for the lead. And Ben Spanky heads to the front here at Suzuka.
Aggressive Bunky this time. 2 pretty tough moves against Moritz Lerner, and in the end, he just has enough space there. Gain the position. Bunky into the lead.
Well, at last though, Ben Spanky, that was a nice move. Didn't try and force it through at T1. Decided to back out of it and maybe try and force Moritz Lerner to overrun the first apex, and that he did, opening the door for Ben Spanky to go and take that lead. Now Gogo Bowdy's eyeing up his opportunity, and maybe if Ben Spanky starts running away, then there'll be a little bit of panic behind. But the moment they're all sort of nose to tail, yeah, it's okay. I've always said this: when you're in a touring car race, if I'm the 7th car in line, if I can still see the leader, I'm all right. You know, you don't win the race early. I'm all right if I'm that far back, because I've still got time to do it. Especially in this style of race, we've still got 50 minutes to go. I don't think anyone in this top 7's panicking right now.
Yes, and we've also got the pit stops. Remember the race in Shanghai? Bunky was leading as well in the first stint. Then he lost it all in the pit stops, and Lerner is coming straight back at Bunky here. Quite making the move yet, but I could see it. Perhaps on the start finish straight.
Yeah. Adam Pinchas was one that was victorious that day, 5th car in line. Like I say, this race is not over. I don't know how you'd play it, Rob, but I'm not sure Moritz Lerner's waiting around at the moment. Nah, he's not going for a move into 130R. I did wonder, I was hesitant. He was closing, but no opportunity there. He's got to go to the outside of the Casio triangle, which is not really an optimal move unless you're fully side by side. But that is going to force Ben Spanky to overdo it slightly, and with a good run out of the Casio triangle as we head down the hill again. This may open up the door for Moritz Lerner to slipstream his way by. 4th lap complete. Ben Spanky still out front, Rob. Is there a move in here? I don't feel it. I'm not feeling it.
He's
But
trying
Moritz Lerner
anyway.
is. Moritz Lerner is. Oh, there's a touch. There is a slight touch. And Gergo Bowdy's run wide in the background. That's going to open up the door for Jack Keithley to maybe sneak his way through. No, he didn't. He covered that off very nicely. That was a very uncharacteristic attempt from Moritz Lerner. He absolutely sent it.
Amazing attempt there from Lerner, and I think they were all lucky that they all held it on the road.
Very, very, very lucky indeed. If I'm Bence Banky, I'd be thinking, whoa, what's he doing? I mean, it was a fair attempt. It was just very, very aggressive. Jack Keithley, who we're on board with now. Like I said, I think he was pretty close to making a move. If he'd have expected it, his dad in the background there, if he'd have expected it a little bit more, what Moritz Lerner was doing. Oh, I thought Bence Banky jumped out of the race and it was just the timing. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it sometimes happens when they cross the bridge, of course, that the timing gets a little bit confused.
See Jack Keithley getting a little bit of coaching advice from Papa Keithley. Yeah, why not? One of the people that I race with, Dan Cow, he gets a little bit of advice, unwanted or not, from his father in the background. I definitely couldn't race with that. As Florian Harser, David Norge is going to fire through here on the second part of Spoon, going to get the slipstream as well, headed his way towards 130. Are the two of them side by side off the corner, and David Norge should in theory, but I think he might back out because the slipstream is going to go the way of Florian Harser as they're all over what on our camera is the left-hand side. David Norge, he kind of backs out. Remember, it was Norge going side by side with Florian Harser's teammate, Tim Yarshall, last round, which gave David Norge a slowdown penalty and effectively cost him the win at that point.
Yes, and I think he's still got time. By the way, very warm welcome to all the Jardier fans in the chat. Here's Mr. Jardier on the screen as well, and thanks for the nice words. We give the compliment back to Jardier. He's the best. Well, he's only 19th in this race, but there's still plenty of time.
And to be fair, I mean, he's not that far off the back of Vitford. He's battling with drivers that we normally see in the CUPRA SimRacing Series, so drivers that all qualify for this normally. Considering he's been invited to come and take part, I think he's doing himself proud in the newly liveried guest car. And we all know he's a solid driver, and by solid I mean quite good. He's definitely better than I am.
He's got Lucas Werle behind him on the snow shuttle team. Lucas Werle had a mixed season as well. Started off really well, but then he missed a few races. And now against Jardier, not sure if he can find a way through.
There we go, giving a wave to us. I think that was. I think he's been told by his fans that we're on. He's on prime time, getting a little bit of a wave. Nice work. He's having fun.
Yeah, and I think it's good to see. When you always look at the pre-qualifying results, we've got so many drivers in this season trying to qualify. I think overall there were 18,000 people who tried to qualify at some stage. Just taking a little look there. And then you come in as a guest driver here, pretty much in a 12-hour race on another game, and yeah, you still mix it with the best guys on RaceRoom, so very respectable performance. However, we have to go back to the leaders, because Moritz Lerner is still all over the back of Bence Banky.
Yeah, he's not dropped off just yet, and at the end of this lap, I believe it is, the pit window will indeed open. There it has, pit window open. Is anyone going to bite this early? I find it unlikely that someone would bite this early, but you never know. Old tyres may work out for some. Obviously there is a slight undercut in this scenario. We've spoken about before having the axis basically the same, because you can change all four, but at this level we expect people to change only two tyres, be it front or rear. And the thing is, if you're going to change front in that scenario in a front wheel drive car, you don't want your front and rear tyres to be so vastly different, because it makes the car very, very unbalanced indeed. So no one's bitten this early as Norge and Florian Harser battle. I think Norge is panicking a little bit, because this is what I was saying. If I'm in 7th place, as long as I can see the leader, as long as we're in one line, it's okay. The moment there's a break in that line, the moment that things start to separate, I start to panic. And I think that's kind of where David Norge might be at the moment. He's seeing that separation between Adam Pinchot and Florian Harser and thinking, I've got to get on with this now.
Yeah, Hassel was second in pre-qualifying, so you would expect him to have the pace, but this gap is quite big.
Maybe there might might be an undercut scenario with David Noj. Of course, he was the earliest. I think he was the earliest or second earliest to pit with Gogo Baudi at Shanghai. And it worked out for him in the short run. Unfortunately, towards the end of the race, he did come back on Barna and got 4th place in that race. But nevertheless, it didn't quite work out too well in the background. We've got Zoltan Siuti and Barna switching positions there a little bit and then coming back as Barna takes control of 8th place again here at Esports Driver.
We've also got the gap up now between Hasse and Adam Pinches ahead of him. It's around 1.2 seconds. That's definitely out of slipstream area.
Yeah, so realistically, David Noj has one of 2 choices to make at the moment. Either go for the move, get it done and close that gap, or maybe back off the pressure from Florian Hasse. We know he's quick, and basically try and stop distracting him to let him close that gap himself. It's a hard decision to make as a driver because, well, you can mess it up very easily either way. 130R then, the next corner to come up the road, and you can see Moritz Lerner. He's not feeling it. No. It was, you know, sometimes it's worth an attempt, but maybe this early in the race, not quite so much. Carries the speed through the apex, and I think it's going to be Benson Banking hanging on at least through the Casio triangle for now. Look at how much tighter Moritz Lerner is on that first apex. It allows him to get further across to the right-hand side so we can line up through the second part of it wonderfully and try and close in as much slipstream as possible. But in doing so, you cost yourself about 10th of a second in trying to hold it. But I think this time it might work out. I think the inside could be Moritz Lerner's best opportunity. He's still closing massively. He's going to be heavy on the brakes. Benson Banki's going to hang on around the outside. This is going to open the second apex. No, not quite yet.
You can see that Banki has some trust into Moritz Lerner there. The way he's taking this line, despite Lerner showing himself on the inside, it just proves that Banki knows Lerner isn't going to try something really crazy there. Meanwhile, we've got 2 cars out of the race. Oh, and we've got 1 car missing the pit box. That's Attila Dina. Leandro Verla out of the race and Ottaviani as well. Attila Dina is the first one to pit.
Very early to do so indeed, but he's trying to get out of the battle pack with Jaroslav Honzik. Of course, on a shorter circuit as well, Gianmarco Verducci getting very much into it with Christian Newharsh coming through Dunlop. If you pit early in that scenario, of course your tyres are going to be more warm, but he's trying to get ahead to get the undercut done. This mid-pack battle is absolutely on fire as there's contact between Gianmarco Verducci and Juan Manuel Gomez. What a difference a week makes. Those two are battling for a podium back in Dubai, but here, not so much. The battle for 11th place as Pfeiffer, who's currently inside the top 10 on his debut in Server 1, doing an excellent job. Christian Newharsh trying to go down the inside. We've got battles behind this as well, as Sunan Gunai going into battle with Ben Zupanek, who's dropped down to 15th place. Not worked out for him, so he's the one that's dropped down recently.
Didn't see what happened to him. We can definitely see that Newharsh is quite aggressive, as usual. Bit of a tap again. Yeah, and we were expecting Fiduci and especially Gomez to be fighting for a race victory.
Whether that time will come this season, we'll have to wait and see. Then again, wasn't it last season that it took? We were expecting that race victory. Of course, it was only a 5-round season, but we were expecting that race win from Jack Keithley. Came in the final round. But he took that victory in Macau. So, you know, the season's not over until it's over. And I think for these guys, as much as the championship, moving up in the championship goal, seeing if they can get a decent place in that is their main focus. I'd get the feeling if I was Gianmarco Fiduci, if I was Juan Manuel Gomez, I'd be looking at a potential race victory, as David Noj has finally gotten past Florian Hasse, but in doing so, he's 2 seconds down on Adam Pinches.
But maybe he can show his good pace now. He can close the gap, and then there's also the pit stops. It could maybe make sense to do an undercut now.
That's what I was thinking. If I'm Noj, if I'm Hasse, I'm thinking I'm pitting at the end of this lap. I'm feeling it. I'm going for the undercut. I'm going to try and get myself some clean air, and I'm going to try and punch in some good lap times. We've got a couple of people that have made the pit stop. Attila Dina, we saw Mackenberg on his debut in Server 1, having made the pit stop, comes through 21st place.
A lot of virtual drivers by TX3. If you're ever in doubt which team the driver is that you see in your screen, virtual drivers by TX3 is always a good guess, because I think they've got the biggest RaceRoom roster out of all teams.
They've got a fair number of drivers, and also a really nice group of guys from what I've spoken to a few of them in my time. Oh, I think we saw Pfeiffer and Fiducci switching positions. Our focus remains, though, on the battle for the race lead. The top two separated by absolutely nothing. Since Bence Banke's taken that lead, he's not exactly cleared off into the sunset. And with Bence Banke just ahead, it's only a couple of tenths. Breaking the slipstream, getting out of it, really, was Moritz Lerner. He doesn't fancy getting right in it into 130R, and I don't think he's going to be making an attempt into the Casio triangle. That said, Bence Banke runs massively wide through 130R. Got to be careful of that. Once again, taking such a tight line through the chicane. Is Lerner coming in? Is anyone coming in? Yes, but oh no, I thought Banke was. I thought Banke was taking it for a risk. I don't think Noj or Haas did either. Oh, Noj did. Noj did. There we go. We did say, well, this is why we should be on strategy. That's if we don't know who's going to work out or not. Outside of T1, going for the cutback, going to try and take that second apex away from Bence Banke. It's not worked. Bence Banke had that one covered off and basically yanked on the brakes. This is perfect for David Noj. Whilst they're battling this hard, and whilst he's going to have some clean air and fresher tyres, he's going to be closing in, you'd suspect.
Yes, absolutely. Banke is on a very defensive line.
That said, I'm surprised with all this massively defensive driving. They're all separated, up to the top 5, separated by 0.6 of a second. I'm surprised that Haas is not catching a little bit quicker in all of this.
Maybe he's got suspension damage. You can see how high they're flying over the curves. And it is possible to damage your suspension when you hit the curves in a slightly bad angle.
Yeah, of course you can damage your suspension doing that. You can damage it going through gravel traps and stuff like that. So you've got to be careful. As Jack Heathley there, he's gone down the inside of Gergo Bowdy and up into 3rd place. That was a very muscly move into a corner, which he's feeling fairly confident at. Another move into the hairpin for Jack Heathley. In doing so, I think he's only irritating the likes of Gergo Bowdy and Adam Pinches, the two people he's overtaken into there. Got to be careful of that. Nice move though, very aggressive. Oh, as Pinches overcooked that, massively so, right onto the curb, and was basically drifting it into the second part of Spoon. Now, does anyone in this top 6, 7, does anyone feel that now's the time to pit?
Wonder if maybe Pinches. My God, that's now. Keithley doesn't look like he would pit now because he just made this move.
Agree.
For Banke, it doesn't really make so much sense to pit first.
Does Lerner pit? Does Lerner... strategy guy, is he going to come in?
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is, as is Jack Heathley. Oh, yeah, Jack Heathley and Gergo Bowdy as well. So, staying out, Bence Banke, Adam Pinches. We didn't see if Florian Haase came into the pit lane. I think he did. Yes, he did. So, Martin Barner's going to go up to 3rd place provisionally whilst we head through the pit stop sequence. It's open for another 20 minutes. It's when there's 15 minutes to go that the pit stop sequence will end, and you can see on your leaderboard here, the drivers with the green box on the end of their name, those drivers that have completed the pit stop sequence. Ones with grey box, they've not done it yet. So Noj has completed that. We saw him come in. Where does he come out in comparison to the likes of Moritz Lerner? You'd kind of say he's going to be behind. It's just whether he's 2 seconds behind or whether he's closed that gap.
I think he might have closed substantially here. Yeah, they are coming out of the pits. Don't get them in one shot. There's Lerner, there's Keithley, there's Gergo Bowdy as well.
And with the momentum through T1, he is definitely a part of this battle now.
And Banke has to come in now. He doesn't really have another choice. He needs to pit now. It's good that Lerner, well, it's good for Banke that Lerner has lost a little bit of time in the pit stop. Be a bit closer than before.
We need one of those quali laps from Moritz Lerner. He should be able to hold the. He should be able to gain the lead on Bence Banke. When Banke pits this time, I would assume that Moritz Lerner is going to be out in the lead. At the same time, it's all dependent now on where Banke is going to be in comparison to that trio. To be fair, the quartet, if you include Noj as part of it, I think Pinches is going to come out. In my opinion, at least based on what I'm seeing here, I'm going to say that Pinches is definitely going to come out behind Noj. Whether Banky is ahead or not is a different question. It could be very much side by side to the first apex with the likes of Gogo Bowdy, with the likes of Jack Keithley as well. Surely he's coming straight into the pit lane, the Red Bull Racing esports driver. He did leave it very late at Imola though.
Yeah, he did. He also did the same at Shanghai, and it didn't pay out at all. So there you see it, straight into the pit lane. Pinches as well.
Follows.
Only makes sense to do that. For Bana, I'm not sure. I think he's pitting too.
Duty, yeah, Bana and Suti are both in the pit lane. Juan Manuel Gomez, is he going to follow them in or is he going to stay out? Yes, he is. I think that was into the pit lane. Certainly is. Everyone's pitting. Wow, tyres must be quite a factor around here then. Where is Lerner in comparison to Bence Banky? Banky's getting the service on his car. And here we go then. The trio are all very much together. I'm not sure Lerner's lap's been particularly great there, as this trio is very much tied into each other. It could be a Williams Esports 1-2. It may not be though. It's all dependent on where Bence Banky is. That light's not gone green yet. He's not finished his pit stop. Down the hill we go then, towards turn 1. Pinches completed. Where is Banky?
Oh, Pinches drive through.
Wow, that's big. And Moritz Lerner, he's going to be in the lead surely. Yes, he is. And where is Banky in all of that? Is he ahead of David Nodge? There's contact between Gogo Bowdy and Jack Keithley. I did wonder if that movement to the hairpin was going to annoy him. Bence Banky then gets balked by Jack Keithley, opening the door for David Nodge. Further contact. And just hanging on to 5th place at the moment is Bence Banky. Shanto takes the lead after being dropped back to last place in the first lap. Adam Pinches with a drive-through penalty. Wow, the CUPRA SimRacing Series does deliver its fair share of drama.
That was a bit dirty by Banky there, how he held the position against Notch, I think. Because he was unlucky that Keithley kind of slid back into his way. Still, he was coming across. And for Banky, once again, the strategy does not pay off at all. Peter Shanto, meanwhile, leading the race.
I'd assume he's going to leave it quite far. Is Shanto. I'd kind of, you know, why not? Why not just throw something at it? Just be like, well, do you know what? I'm in last place regardless. I might as well just stay out, have my my time in the sunshine, out in the front of a CUPRA SimRacing Series race. Yeah, why not? Get people wondering who's this lad. Our focus, though, will probably remain on that battle for the top lot. We see Banky, we see Nodge. Say very much a part of this now. The earlier pit stop may have worked out for him, at least in the short run. The top lot have been split apart, and Moritz Lerner is now under attack from Mirror Esports' Gogo Bowdy. Very forceful move on the apex of T2 on Jack Keithley. I don't think Keithley's going to be too impressed by that one. Is Gogo.
Another forceful move is coming up now.
I think it might be. He's leaving it down the inside. Oh, he nearly got it. Of course, there we go. Oh, it's getting very feisty back there. There's a move defending from Banky into the Casio triangle. We'll look at the race leader as Moritz Lerner and Gogo Bowdy remain very, very close. Gogo Bowdy has previously won an endurance race in the CUPRA SimRacing Series back in Monza last season, and now dives it down the inside, nearly the same move that he pulled on Keithley. Lerner hangs on though, 2-time endurance race winner in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. And yes, that is a bit of a fun fact there. Bence Banky, Gogo Bowdy, Jaroslav Honzik have all won races here at Suzuka before in RaceRoom competition. So Gogo Bowdy knows how to get the job done, not only in the CUPRA SimRacing Series, but also at this circuit as well in some fairly similar cars. Up and over the curves. Oh, a lot of curb there for Gogo Bowdy. An awful lot of curb. But this is the kind of race, Rob, why David Nodge is where he is in the championship, because it may not be his best day or whatever. He may be, you know, down in what will be 5th place once Shanto comes to the pit lane. His main championship rival may be leading the race. At the same time, though, he's still in 5th place. He's still scoring decent points, and his consistency through the season is what's really thrown him to such a strong championship lead.
Yes, indeed, and I think Banky was sending it earlier against Keithley. Keithley kind of pushed him back. So I don't think Banky was really defending his place there. With Banky and Keithley, who are direct rivals for P3 in the championship. If they get together again, Notch might even get a podium.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see Jaroslav Honzik further down the order in the guest car. But that said, since post-pit stop action, he's part of the train effectively for 14th place. He's currently in 19th on the back of Attila Dina, who was the earliest to stop of this lot. We've got Pfeiffer ahead, who's had a terrible pit stop sequence. Was running in 10th place, now running in 17th place. Juan Manuel Gomez, Vitfort, and Christian Neuhaus are all basically part of this train. You can see Christian Neuhaus there just going through 130R in the foreground. So all very close together, Rob.
Very close together indeed. And Shanto, of course, still has to pit. I think he'll come out behind them.
Agree.
Trying around the outside. What a move!
Nice work, Jaroslav Hontic. Very nice, tidy move around the outside of Attila Dina. The young German there, maybe a little bit out-experienced there by Jaroslav Hontic. But as we run towards T1, now on the outside is Attila Dina. You saw a little bit of a check of chat, a little bit of a check on the mirror. Oh, just touching into the rear left quarter panel, opening the door. But Jaroslav Hontic stays ahead. Nice, nice work and a great move. Like I said, that'll be for 17th place once Shanto comes in. But that was really nicely done around the outside. Clean as you like.
Driving from Jaroslav here. Let's see what Garibaldi can do.
They've got plenty of time.
Where did Pinchus come out, by the way? Pinchus came out behind Superneck and behind Mackenberg. It's very, very strong.
Yeah, the post-pit stop sequence really working out for the German debutant in Server 1.
It's going to be a top 10 because Shanto still has to pit.
Very impressive. You say a top 10, I'd say it's a top 10 for now. Zupanek and Pinchus behind will be desperate to get through and get themselves up into the top 10, but regardless, an impressive drive, at least thus far, in his debut in Server 1. That said as well, to be fair, 12th place would be very impressive as well, and with Christian Neuhaus being a good 5 seconds behind, that'll work out for him. Race lead, Moritz Lerner, Gogo Baldi, effectively race lead, because we're waiting for Shanto's entry to the pit lane. He's 5 seconds ahead of this, and Gogo Baldi's diving for it.
Oh, and Banky as well!
Oh my god, that is quite a move between the two of them, and there's further contact. Absolutely sent over the Casio triangle.
For sure, they will both have a slowdown penalty now.
Yeah, absolutely. When do they take it? And this is good. This is exactly what you said, Rob. If those two come together as Shanto is into the pit lane, that is going to give David Noj a podium. Jack Keithley starts serving his slowdown penalty, and I think he may have completed the serving of it, as the race leaders were both very, very close there. When does Banky serve his? Surely he's got to serve it pretty soon. There we go. He starts serving.
Oh, he's serving it on the racing line.
He's going to be serving on the apex, desperate to hang on to the podium spot with David Noj behind. This means it is absolutely a 2-horse race for the race victory. Has he got any more to serve?
Well, that was not a smart place to serve the penalty.
He's doing it again. He's continuing to do it. There we go. Podium position cost. Is Jack Keithley going to get through as well? Yeah, he's still got loads more time to give. He's going to lose out to Florian Haase as well. Rob, wow.
And I think this is a major mess up from Banky here. First of all, it takes so much longer to take the slowdown penalty in these corners, and then second of all, he took it on the racing line. He might get another penalty post-race.
It was pretty dangerous. I get what he was trying to do. He was trying to hang on to the podium spot, but as you say, the slower the part of track, the harder it is to give up that time, and that really hasn't worked out for Banky. I'm sure that incident will be looked at post-event by our stewards, because I'm not quite sure what happened. We don't have a replay feature to show you what happened there, but nevertheless, there was some serious contact between the two of them heading into the first apex of the Casio triangle, and as we've said, that means that we are absolutely down to a 2-horse race. 3 seconds ahead, Moritz Lerner, Gogo Baldi ahead of David Noj, who's got up into the podium spot. And now the sights for Gogo Baldi are set on one thing, and one thing in particular, and that is overtaking Moritz Lerner and taking a second victory in the CUPRA SimRacing Series, and it will be his first of the season. Join the very small list as well of drivers who have won in both seasons. I think thus far it's David Noj and Jack Keithley.
I think it's Ben Banky as well.
Oh, Ben Banky as well, touche. Oh, we've got side-by-side between Keithley and Nodge in the background. Jack Keithley's going for the undercut through T1 into 2. The hard defensive line, that alone has cost them half a second, nearly a second to the race leaders. I don't think Nodge cares one bit about that. I think he's just going to try and hang on to third place. And in doing so, backing up the drivers that are maybe eyeing up trying to close that gap if anything happens between Baldi and Nodge. Of course, David Nodge and Baldi and Lerner. David Nodge being teammates, direct teammates with Go Baldi. It's just helping him out.
I don't think this will stay as quiet as it is right now.
No, me neither. Be it for the lead or the podium. Oh, with 23 minutes to go, I do very much get the feeling that our view of what is on the podium right now is not going to stick, as there goes Banky, lots of contact, and we're 4 wide off of the hairpin, and Banky overtakes all of them and goes to third. I'm not sure how legitimate that was. There was a lot of contact between himself and Haase, and then it opened the door for Keithley, and then Nodge was also pushed wide, and Banky gains from all of that and goes from 6th to 3rd. Oh, and then overcooked Spoon.
It was a crazy move there. Keithley turned into Nodge. That's what I saw. And then Banky out of nowhere was going up the inside of Hasse, and then all of a sudden it was a 4 wide.
Yeah, I don't know if it was realistically, if you could put the blame on Banky for that. Like as you say, there was already contact going on, and it sort of just all came into one, and then they were 4 wide off of the hairpin. And in all my time commentating on stuff coming to the Suzuka International Racing Course, I have never, not once in my entire life, seen drivers 4 wide off of the hairpin. So yeah, that's one for the bucket list. Tick that one off. Will Banky be able to hang on though?
I think it's good for him that Nodge is in 4th place and not just the car behind him, because Nodge has absolutely no reason to be aggressive.
Yeah, if you're the race leader, if you're Moritz Lerner, if you're Gogo Baldi, you're just kind of like looking at your leaderboard and you saw that that Bent Banky was 6th and now he's 3rd. You look at that going, wait, what? What's happened? There's obviously been a massive incident there or something. That's what you'd be thinking. Further down the order, Adam Pinches on the back of Zupanek. They've both got past Mackenberg, who is in turn 5 seconds clear of Hamamo Gomez. Said that gap was going to be fairly far back to Christian Juhasz and Mackenberg. So, and Gomez. So Mackenberg looking pretty good for a top 12. Nice effort on debut. Don't want to jinx him, so touch wood. Or knock on wood, as the Americans say.
Yeah, it's impressive indeed. We've seen a couple of debutants, of course, in the season. For example, Bitvold, who's in 15. He was the debutant last race. But few of them wasn't as impressive as Mackenberg has been here.
I thought Keithley got by Nodge there. I think they just switched over. Oh no, they've definitely been racing into the hairpin. And that's created a gap between Nodge and Banky. And Jack Keithley, they're under attack from Euronics Gaming's Florian Haase, who's going to go around the outside of Spoon. That's not going to work, mate. And away he goes out into the runoff circuit and then comes back onto it. But Jack Keithley, there you go, having a bit more communication with Papa Keithley. There we go.
Wave to the camera. Nice. He doesn't look angry at all, actually.
I think he's having a bit of fun.
Yeah, he would be happy to be back in the championship. Had to miss the last race. And still within a shot of taking P2 perhaps in the end. It's a bit unlikely, given where Lerner is and also where Banky is at the moment.
Either way, though, it'll be fun to just get some racing on a nice Saturday afternoon anyway. There's a nice sip of drink. The run towards turn 1 from the Casio Triangle is a long one, so you can have a bit of a breather, get yourself some water, get yourself a drink. I mean, I know what drink you'll be having because I know Jack Keithley, and I've seen the posts on on Facebook about his choice of beverage. Don't worry, it's non-alcoholic, so don't panic. He is eyeing up. He still wants that podium. He's still feeling it. And to be fair, considering how close he and Banky are in the championship, it's not super duper close, but there's still a few races to go and it's still a fair few points up for offer. We definitely want to get by Banky. Two Hungarians battling there for 7th place. Martin Barner, who, in my opinion, is doing quite a nice job. He did a good job the last endurance race we had as well. 5th place at the end of that. Had a late race battle with David Noj and Zoltan Suti, the Mirror Esports driver. Very nice all around.
And Zoltan Suti, he's doing what he always does. He's just driving very close behind another car. And we've seen that often with Banky already this season. It just makes you uncomfortable a little bit. He's not really going for any aggressive attempts. He's just looking a few times, but he's always super close. He never drops the gap.
Well, this is the thing with touring car racing, and you know, we've done our fair share of touring car racing, Rob. A lot of it is applying pressure. Most of the job, if you can apply enough pressure to basically make the car ahead crack, you don't have to overtake them because they've already gone off.
Yeah, and Suti's very good at this.
Just apply as much pressure.
Yeah, he's not in this championship here because he had to miss quite a few races already. In general, his strength is not really his pure pace, but it's just this applying pressure, going for a move in exactly the right moment. But we have to go to the leaders.
Oh, they are very, very close. He's got to go to the outside of turn 1. He's going to go for a cutback between the two and maybe fire it down the inside as he did on Jack Keithley. The other Williams esports driver, he's just about there, makes contact with Moritz Lerner, opens the door for himself, but kind of doesn't really commit fully to it. They're side by side off of 2, and towards the S's, there's contact between the two of them. They're bumping, they're shoving, they're pushing, they're weaving across the circuit, and Gergo Bowdy, desperate to go and take the race lead, is going all the way around the outside, and he finally has the long right-hander ahead of him. It's going to be enough. There's still further contact. They're still side by side. Now Dunlop goes the way, and it's Gergo Bowdy into the race lead. What a display between the two of them. The Hungarian hits the front here at Suzuka.
All first sector side by side. What a move by Gergo Bowdy. And there definitely was a gap. There definitely was a gap for him to slot behind, to slot next to Moritz Lerner. Bit of contact, but still a great move from Gergo Bowdy, who's in the lead now. Only 16 minutes to go.
That was
and
very, very aggressive. That's also very aggressive, courtesy of his teammate, learning from Jack Keithley. Forces the door open. I don't think that Moritz Lerner's going to fully commit to that one. I think he might drop back into second place, all the way around the outside of the right-hander. Going to give him the inside of Spoon. Is he still there? No, he isn't. Drops back in line. Now to the outside of Spoon. Going to cut to the inside of Spoon, maybe up towards the second apex, but Gergo Bowdy backed out of it just enough to stop that from happening and creates a bit of a gap. That was a fairly aggressive display over this lap, Rob.
Yes. Especially the second move from Lerner there, from way back. Didn't expect that. And now Bowdy, of course, taking the defensive line of Spoon as well. He's in the lead now, track position to Bowdy.
As I said, Gergo Bowdy looking for another victory in the CUPRA SimRacing Series to add to his tally. A second one he is looking for. The last one that he won was in Monza last year, a shortened race that time. Was still the endurance format. Desperate for a second victory. That was a fairly aggressive move. I'm not sure how you'd look into the apex of the second of turn 2, because he did kind of force it alongside, but either way, the display after that through the S's was absolutely lovely, and finishing it off through Dunlop. Nice work indeed. I don't feel though, Rob, this battle is over. I think Moritz Lerner's got a little bit more to say, and if that move into the hairpin is anything to go by, that's pretty on point.
Let's see what still happens. Still 1/4 of the race left to do. I just picked up some extra info in the chat. Probably been there for a while, but I didn't see it. Sven Mackenberg driving with the controller.
Oh, we need to get a little bit of an on-board for that. We need to see how janky the inputs are. I started in sim racing. Did I ever race? Yeah, that's definitely a controller. You saw how there you go, holding the input straight there, and this is proof that you can compete on a controller. Like I said, I made my debut in sim racing for the first 6.5 months or so. I was on a controller. I'm not sure how much we raced, Rob, back in those days, but I don't think I was. You were at the front, and I certainly wasn't.
When I started, I used a joystick. I don't think that's so common anymore.
No.
Of course, got Mr. Mouse, Sergei Mukimov, who's competing, I think, in server 2 this time, maybe in server 3 as well. Should definitely check out his YouTube channel.
I think a few drivers that I know. Lars Brugman, I think Mike Bell also might have started sim racing in air quotes on the keyboard back in the day.
Of course, our steward here in this championship always has plenty of work after these races.
He is a bit of a busy boy, Mr. Mike Bell. And hopefully we won't get any reports between this battle for the race lead and we can go to the checkered flag unscathed in that department, and hopefully we'll get a nice display. Not too long to go in the race, just 13 minutes on the clock. And Moritz Lerner, he desperately wants second in the championship, regardless of where Noj is. I know he wants to go for the championship lead, but Noj is so far down the road. There's contact between the Mirror Esports driver and Williams Esports, two of the top teams in race room competition, going toe-to-toe at the front of the field here in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. After this, there's only 3 rounds to go.
And Baldi is taking such defensive lines. You can see how close Bunky has gotten. 0.6 seconds only. Baldi is so slow at the moment.
Do you think he's trying to back Moritz Lerner up? Or do you think he's just defending as hard as he can? Why would he back?
Yeah, why should they play games?
No,
not just so far ahead in the standings, and you know, he's still behind Bunky.
I'm only saying that as devil's advocate here. I don't think he's playing games, because the realistic, the gain that he gets, he's looking for a race victory here. The gain that he gets by pushing Lerner to the, there's no gain to that. Because the thing is by the time that he's pushed it back to Banky, he could lose the race win not only to Lerner, but he could lose it to Banky, to Noj, to Keith Lee as well, and even really Florian Haase. So the idea that he'd push Moritz Lerner back makes no sense at all. So I don't quite know what's happening here with Gergo Baldi, but you're absolutely right. His pace has dropped off. And I think part of that comes from this between Banky, Noj, Keith Lee and Haase. They've kind of stopped fighting because they've seen how slow this lot's going. And Lerner is feeling the pressure of it. 2 seconds now is all it is between the top 2 and the chasing pack.
And it looks like Baldi is constantly afraid of an attack from Lerner. He's defending into every corner. Because he's been surprised before. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes a little bit over to the right side here again. Not this time.
No, not too defensive, but he is very slow on the apex. Maybe his tyres maybe he's overdone his tyres or something. It's very much akin to cycling racing, this is. You've got the top 2, the breakaway, being chased down by what is effectively the peloton, as Banky, Noj, Keith Lee and Haase are desperate to try and close on the race lead, and they're not really fighting at the moment. Meanwhile, the top 2 most certainly are. Moritz Lerner's not quite there to go down the inside. Just gets that covered off by Gergo Baldi. Also, the Cycling World Championships on. They're racing at Imola, which is fun for racing fans. Bit of a sneaky bit of information. As further down the order, Martin Barner defending from Zoltan Suti, as it has been most of the race.
Pinches alongside Superneck here.
Trying to switch positions, of course. Pinches, who was part of the battle towards the front, he realistically would have been the 7th car in the top 7 if he was still part of the 6th train for the effectively the race win, sort of. But that drive-through penalty has cost him big.
Yes, it cost him big, but it's still all right. Still ahead of Gomez. Will lose some ground in the fight for P4 against Keith Lee. Gian isn't even in the race, for example. Hasse, okay, he gets a decent result. Iducci is just 2 places ahead of him, so I think it's still kind of okay for Pinches.
Yeah, that's some decent points up for offer, nevertheless.
What happened to Peter Shanto? It's way down the order.
Well, I think he might have made another couple of mistakes, but obviously the first lap he was dropped well off the back, and maybe he's just not really had the pace to compete today as well. Not really 100% sure. I kind of get the feeling there's been an issue there, here or thereabouts. Considering he's basically by himself, he's done an 11.4, so his pace is not lacking. Considering fastest lap of the race, I think it's about 10.9, something like that. Oh, here we go, 130R. Moritz Lerner, he is there. He is very much there in a 130R. There's contact between the two. Pushed over the apex. Pushed over the curb on the inside. That's cost him an extra half a second. Incoming Bent Banky. Moritz Lerner is desperate to get through and attempting to 130R, pushing all over the rear end. I get the feeling that we're going to be pretty close when it comes to the checkered flag, but I'm going to assume we've got about 5 laps to go in this race, Rob, as Gergo Bowdy continues his charge at the front. Moritz Lerner, though, he's going to be on the inside of T1. No, there's that late move from Gergo Bowdy, the Hungarian, covering off the apex, and we've seen it not really work. Moritz Lerner makes contact ever so slightly. Oh, and he's run a little bit too far wide. This is aggressive defence from Gergo Bowdy.
Yeah, and I think they will argue after the race. Baldi really should have left a little bit more room there in 130, and Baldi will say, what are you trying in this corner? It's not a corner where you can go too wide. As Baldi is pushed again by Lerner, and Baldi is really slow at the moment. You can see how much Banky has caught up just in this one sector.
If Lerner gets by, he will run away. You get the feeling that I think that Gergo's tyres have gone, and Lerner knows it. He's sat there thinking, come on, I just need to get by. If I get by Gergo Bowdy, that's it. I've basically won the race. But the longer this goes on, the longer he's sat there, he's going to cut for the inside. Oh, he thought about it. Now to the outside of the hairpin. Going to hook it back and get a much straighter run. Oh, you can't make a move soon, Rob. He might be feeling it. The longer, though, that he sits behind, the longer that he can't get by Gergo Bowdy, the more pressure there will be from behind. Banky's coming, and he's dragging an angry pack with him.
And Banky was so much more aggressive than in all of the other races this season. It's again there. You could see it in the foreground, the little wiggle that the car from Baldi did. He was once again slow on the apex, and Lerner slightly pushed him then. What can Lerner do? He just wants to hope that Baldi gets on with it and that Banky doesn't catch them. But I think it will happen on the next lap.
He's not pushing him like trying to be aggressive. He's not trying to force the door open. He's just pushing him because the speed differential at the apex is so great at the moment. Covering off the inside of the Casio triangle, back one way, back the other, down the hill, completes yet another lap in the race lead. But now Bent Banky is within a second of that race lead. He's within half a second of Moritz Lerner, and he is very much part of the battle for the race lead. Watch it, goes right, covers it off. Moritz Lerner comes halfway across, now goes to the inside. He's kind of there. He's just about enough to stick it down the inside, and he's really committed to that one. He's got the door wide open, and with his fresher tyres, his better pace at the moment, I think Moritz Lerner is going to be holding the race lead. Comes to the S's section. Gergo Bowdy still just about alongside. There's further contact between the two, but Moritz Lerner goes to the front, and Bent Banky is now right in the mix.
What a nice move from Moritz Lerner. Takes the lead of the race in exactly the right moment because Banky is now there. And that was a precise move.
Nice work. And like we said, if he has any chance of winning this race, he'd best hope that Gergo Bowdy is struggling for speed at the moment and try and run away, because now is his best option over the curb at Degner 1, hooks it up for the curb at Degner 2. I mean, to be fair, the pace of Gergo Bowdy is looking pretty healthy right now, so maybe he was doing a little bit of tactical play there. Oh, I thought he was going to dive it down the inside of Moritz, though. It was quite far back.
Oh, and I think we lost Suti. Suti's out of the race.
Oh yeah, so he is. That's a shame for him. In that long battle with Martin Barner, Gianmarco Verducci then moves up a place. Pinches and Zupanek all move up a place. And Mackenberg, by the way, is coming under a bit of pressure. I wonder if his tyres are going off on the controller. Him. Yeah, Gomez gone by. Vitfort is now very much, there we go. Vitfort's now through. So I think he might drop a bit further back. But to be fair, credible pace through the early stages of this race. And considering being on a controller, they're very well.
Great battles throughout the field, but we kind of have to go to the front again. So Keithley gonna try into 130R.
Well, that's surely not going to work, and it's on championship leader as well. Surely he's going to back out of that one, and coming through the shot there, just in the background, you can see now Keithley's looking down the inside into the Casio triangle. That was commitment, wasn't quite there, and Florian Haas is now part of this. So we've got 3 battles of 3 cars. The top 3, Lerner, Bowdy, Banky, going for the race victory. P4 is going the way of Nog, Keithley and Haas. Which way is it going to go once we cross the checkered flag? We'll have what I reckon by my count is 3 laps to go. Ooh, Was that what Baldi was trying to do? Oh, and down the inside, holding it. Jack Keithley's trying to go all the way around the outside of T1 and then through 2. Wasn't able to do so. I wonder if that's what Baldi was doing, if he was trying to slow... I don't know why you would do that, but if he was trying to slow Lerner enough to get to the checkered flag without doing an extra lap. Is fuel a problem? It's not, is it? It's fuel's locked.
No, fuel is on, so
fuel is on.
Under fuel.
I wonder if that's what the issue was. Because his pace is fine at the moment. His pace is absolutely fine. He's trying to apply pressure to Lerner to slow them down. Because I'm wondering if he goes for that third lap, if there's not enough in the tank to reach that margin. Oh, this has just got very interesting. Because it's so close. It's like 5 seconds at the moment. We see further battles in the background. They're almost 3 wide. It's nearly pushed off the road by Jack Keithley with Florian Haase. And now Haase's trying to go around the outside of the hairpin. Not quite an ideal move. It was, I think, them all getting backed up out of the second Degner. Now David Noj looks like the slowest of the top 6. I am very, very curious as to see what happens throughout the course of this race. A couple more minutes on the clock. I do get the feeling that depending on what happens over the next lap, I do get the feeling that we are going to get an extra one after it. This could be the penultimate lap of the race, but I get the feeling that we're not quite there yet, and the next one will be the penultimate lap.
See, the start-finish line is very late. Baldi trying for sure here. Lerner has to defend.
Going around the outside, Gogo Baldi. Oh, this could work. This could work brilliantly. There's going to be a touch on the exit, but it's going to go the way of Lerner. Banky wasn't able to get alongside. Keep your eye on the clock. We're looking for about 2 minutes 11. I think that more. See what I mean? It's so close. It is so close. I think this is the penultimate lap. I think we are starting what will be the final lap if they battle this hard with these worn tyres. This could be the final lap. Bence Banky now heads to the inside. On the inside of Gogo Baldi, there's contact between the two of them. Moritz Lerner has just opened the door there for Bence Banky to come through. Up into second place, maybe up into the race lead. They're still pushing each other, coming off of T2. Oh, yeah, we'll go back to that in just a moment. But Lerner and Banky's going for the race lead. He's forced his way through third to first in a couple of corners, and Banky heads to the front on what we believe is the final lap of the race.
Too much happening at the same time here. Keithley out of the race after an accident and huge damage on the car of David Noj. That was a heavy impact.
That's a massive impact on the front left of that car. Skidget was happening on what we'd expect is the final lap of the race. With all these moves going on, I get the feeling it's just about going to be the end.
Yeah.
It's going to be so tight, though. We'll call it as the end, and we'll see what happens. Shall we?
Yeah, you will see at the top there where you can see the timer run down. If the start-finish, the checkered flag shows up at the start-finish, then the race is over. And Bence Banky, he will try to defend his lead here. Once again, 2 cars at once, pretty much, for Bence Banky.
Moritz Lerner will be sat there fuming.
Still got one more chance.
And he's pushing hard as well. Red Bull Racing Esports looking for a victory again in the CUPRA SimRacing Series, and Williams Esports looking for yet another victory in the endurance format. 30 seconds on the clock. Is this the last lap of the race? I get a feeling now, as the timer ticks on, as we approach the Casio Triangle, I get the feeling that this is it, Rob. I get the feeling that Bence Banky may be on course for yet another victory in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. 15 seconds, clips the curb, clips in the second one, comes down the hill with 10 seconds on the clock. Is that long enough? The line isn't the first one. It's the one right down the end. I think this is it. I think Bence Banky is coming across the line for another victory. He certainly is. And with a great move on the final lap of the race, Bence Banky goes from third to first and into victory lane. What a drive from Bence Banky. Top step of the podium. Moritz Lerner to second as well. What happened on the last lap between Keithley and Noj?
Oh, we won't be able to see it until you cut the highlight video, Lewis. Let's check with Honzik though, because it got close between Honzik and Mackenberg there.
Yeah, nice drive from Honzik. The positions you're seeing on screen aren't fully final, so don't panic too much that a couple of drivers have disappeared off of that.
Baldi immediately left the server after he crossed the line. And away, one thing is certain, and Spunky coming across the line in first place.
Yeah, we'll get the finishing order up for you in just a second, but Banky, what a move, what a drive to another victory, snatching it from Moritz Lerner. I feel bad for Lerner there. I think maybe he had the fuel in the tank and Baldi was dropping it back. There you have then Banky, Lerner and Baldi, your podium. Hasabana rounds out the top 5, so another top 5 in the endurance format. That battle that we saw across the line between Mackenberg and Honzik, that was for 13th place. So Honzik getting P14, considering he's not qualified for this. He's come along as the VIP driver. That is mighty respectable, especially considering he's been a pretty busy boy today. Well, we'll get those highlights and find out what happened between between Noj and Keithley. Noj outside of the top 5, only P6, Rob.
Both Werles DNF'd as well, so seems to be quite a few things we missed in the end. But the battle for the lead was so exciting.
Indeed, as we've seen much excitement over the 2020 CUPRA SimRacing Series, but the season is coming to an end. With that, it is round 10 of the CUPRA SimRacing Series complete. We have 3 more races. We head back to Europe for a couple of rounds. We go to Hockenheim for a sprint race, then we go to Spa for endurance. Now, trust me, that race is going to be top-notch because we know how good Spa is. We know how good these cars are around Spa, and that endurance format as well. We're going to see something special. And then the grand finale, round 13 of the championship, Macau, to finish the season. Will Noj be crowned before then? Will it take until then? Who's going to get second in the championship? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Until next round, though, the 10th of October at the Hockenheim Ring. Thank you very much for joining us. And until then, goodbye.